Yeah, he wanted to get away from the stoner stuff.
He can't reel that back.
Like already be high. The turtles might as well be high. Like they eat pizza all the time, everywhere. They live underneath the sewer and they're okay with it.
Look, the only people that see Ninja Turtles are meth heads.
A very quick martial art is being ninjas are known to be very quick. They pick the slowest animal you could possibly pick to be ninjas.
Well, they're mutants.
And they're mutants. No, mutants, but still, okay, if you had a mutant rabbit compared to a mutant turtle, and they were both ninjas, I would expect one to be faster than the other.
Is there an arch villain that's a rabbit?
They have not a villain, but there's a hero, Yoshimura Jimbo, I think it's called. His name is
Shredder. No, he's not Shredder. Their master was a rat. Shredder was the villain that wore the metal helmet with the...
Splinter was a rat, yeah.
Splinter was a rat. Shredder was the villain.
Who was the rabbit?
There
was a rabbit in the cartoon version, and I believe that was Yoshira Jimbo.
The Rhino and it was the Bebop and
Bebop, Steady. Yeah, those were they were so heavily commercialized back in the 90s. You can get Ninja Turtle anything.
Thurman, you're correct. There was a rabbit, and yeah.
Was he? I don't remember. The rabbit.
He had a bandana that tied his ears up. He was.
Like bugs wouldn't have messed with him.
He was a Japanese warrior. I remember him. But he was in the Turtles.
I hope because you could make a really good Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie, depending on how you do it. You know, especially with today's graphics and shit. But I just don't think Seth Rogen's probably the guy for it.
I would happen to agree with you on that one. I mean, Michael Bay tried to do it, and look at his creation of the Ninja Turtles from a few years ago. Woo.
Miami Vice.
Oh.
I mean, see, okay, so Seth Rogen, he's trying to pull back on the whole stoner idea. I totally understand that. I totally understand he's trying to pull back on the whole stoner idea. But once you go stoner, there's no going back on certain things. Look at Tommy Chong. Wasn't able to do it. Never even attempted to. You can go the other way where you're a straight-laced kind of... If I saw Tommy Lee Jones smoking pot in a movie, he can go back to being Tommy Lee Jones after that. But once you're Seth Rogen, there's no going back. There's no going straight-laced. People aren't going to buy it. You're always going to look like you're wearing a smirk on your face.
That's like Key and Peele. Who's that? Key and Peele?
Yeah.
They did comedy for a while, comedy, and then they got into horror movies because they wanted to get away from comedy, and didn't really do all that well. But.
Yeah, the one is I think Keith is he's doing the Twilight Zone.
I know it was something. I don't remember exactly what it was, to be honest, because I don't.
The guy who did, I always get them mixed up, but the guy who did Get Out crushed it. And then he did Us. And those are the same two guys. I'm about to look his name up. I got a computer right in front of me. It makes no sense.
Only we had machines to tell us the answers to everything.
How dare us!
I mean, I still remember teachers. I used to have to go to meetings with my parents with teachers about how they'd tell me about how my handwriting is so bad, right?
Oh,
terrible handwriting.
Terrible.
Never gonna make it in life with this handwriting like this.
I know. Look at what this is.
Yeah, and look at how irrelevant it is. It was such a waste. Looking back on that, it's such a waste of time. And they were so scrutinizing with goddamn handwriting, with cursive handwriting, that if a loop wasn't done the right way, if it was like slightly, particularly a little bit too loopy on one side, I mean, they were scrutinizing. Like,
where'd you go, Hogwarts?
No.
You gotta make sure it's the perfect expecto patronum.
Expectionum.
You know what it's like? It's like when you tell the teacher you won't have sex with them, then they're all about then they're on your case. You know?
Wow. See what happens when you get taught at home? No, Mom, stop it.
Can I just say something real quick? To go back,
Turn that incest real quick. I like it.
Did you guys know Patrick Mahomes is making $137,808 a day?
That's pocket money for Donald Trump.
Oh my God, he's making daily money $1 a minute.
All right, so Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele had Get Out, Us, and now he's working on Candyman.
Why are we getting
Again?
Yeah, for 2020.
I mean, it is 2020, so, you know, why not? Why not make a lot of shit more shittier?
I agree.
Yeah, it's like refurbishing hand-me-downs. They don't look cooler the second time around.
As I keep on saying, the trick is, if you can get a movie out in 2020, you're going to win an Oscar because since there's no other movies coming out.
True.
This is how you This is how you write a movie in 2020. You go to the last open blockbuster in Alaska and look through their 1980s section, and just there, you got all your material. Every single movie right there for yourself. You could just redo Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street. You can redo another Jason movie if you'd like.
They've actually redone every horror movie so far. Halloween, Candyman, Friday the 13th, they've actually redone.
There is another Halloween movie coming out this year also.
Yep.
Yep. Why?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre was redone. The only thing that they haven't redone is Hellraiser. And that's a classic horror movie, but
that was
with the Silver Killer Balls.
Oh, Phantasm.
Phantasm.
Yeah, that was a good movie too.
Yes, Phantasm. I like that better than.
They could never find. They had that Rubik's Cube thing, and they could never find the heaven button for the damn thing.
In the cube. The cube?
Yeah, the cube. Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess that was two different sides to the puzzle thing, and the one would bring it to heaven, the other one would bring it towards the demons in hell. They could never find the heaven button of the damn thing. That's what happens when you lose the instructions to the remote control the cube from the different dimension of hell that says that it could bring you to heaven. You know,
it's true.
Although
it is a good concept for a movie.
It's especially with the graphics that were done for the time, especially. Except for the lip guy. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah. And then they actually just came out for Netflix for the Dark Crystal. The Dark Crystal they just redid on Netflix.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
See, Netflix is killing it as far as they're shutting down movie theaters. They're so successful.
Yeah, crushing it. Like absolutely crushing it this for this year, man. You know, and actually to speak about Netflix for a second. There was some really cool stuff.
Yeah, Kev, did you tell him about the script?
I heard about the script. Yeah.
Yeah, me and Thurman, we're working on a script right now for a movie. It's practically writing itself. We're getting so ahead of it. It's about a news report that came out that there's one person in the area or a couple people in the area that might be actually be a hidden alien. It's like a sci-fi kind of thing. And then a cop and his new partner try to find who it could be in the area by getting a lead from their lieutenant or whatever, a couple leads throughout the area. And a group of 3 kids try to figure out if one of them is the alien, which one feels like he might be. And it goes from there. That's about as much as I can reveal without giving away the whole entire thing, right, Thurman?
Well, yeah. I couldn't say it any better myself. Also, you got to think of everything that's going on kind of today is kind of how we wanted to make the movie portray a little bit, like give a little what is it? A story behind the story, pretty much.
Okay.
So you can stay entertained throughout the whole thing, and maybe learn something. Who knows?
You could learn something. There's a moral base to the whole idea.
Oh, don't get people started on the morals. Have a moral compass.
I know, man. Their moral compasses are normally focused on their goddamn dollar bill signs. You know, it's that ridiculous.
Well, you remember that old song? I forget how it goes. Like something like "Cash rules everything around me." Cream.
One of my favorites.
Get the money. Dollar bills, y'all.
All right, so now I am prepared. All right, so talking about Netflix, right? I had to sign into my Netflix account, and I was like, oh, shit, probably should have done that beforehand. But I've actually just been watching Warrior Nun. Warrior Nun is the number 2 ranked out of 10 on Netflix right now. It's a comic-based movie that's been brought to life as far as like the comic genre, you know, as far as them coming out with shit. Eddie Murphy has not necessarily a new movie, but a new-ish movie called 1,000 Words on Netflix. And there's some interesting movies that just came out as well, such as Sucker Punch and The Old Guard. The Old Guard, which is coming out.
What's Warrior Nun about?
The Warrior Nun is really about... man, how do I wrap this up into a...
Because what it sounds like is a nun gets possessed or has like superpowers in some degree, maybe based on religion.
It is based about superpowers, but not necessarily superpowers as in superpowers. What happens is that this random girl gets killed in the very beginning. So then she's now inhibited with this round circle, which they call the halo.
Okay.
So it goes into her body, and the halo actually gives her superpowers that she uses to fight demons out in the world.
Not bad.
So, I mean, that's pretty much not to say that that's the movie, but it gets a little slow, it gets a little fast, there's some weird spots in between.
If this was like a pitch to a production company, like, we like the title.
You know what? I've watched almost the entire thing. I haven't quite finished it yet. But at the point I'm at now, it shows a lot about how the church hides a lot of things from not necessarily the general public, but how they hide things in general away from everybody as far as making heaven, hell, and earth as like a 1, 2, 3 picture.
That would be great if we figure out one of these days that the church was doing all these crimes intentionally to get caught, to hide the fact that there is no God. You know, it's like, well, the only reason we did that is just because our bread and butter, that there is nothing. We really, we figured that out a long time ago. You know.
Well, in the movie, it shows that there are angels and there are demons and there is heaven and hell. But there's also a way to open up a barrier so that you can go through the barrier into heaven.
All right. So it's a little bit of a sneak attack.
Virgin for female Constantine.
Very much like a female Constantine, but on the opposite spectrum. Instead of going to hell, she goes to heaven for, battling
so
demons.
They took Keanu Reeves' character and they're like, what if we just flip and reverses? How many people would notice? Son of a bitch. Damn it, Sparky. You ruined
Pretty
another
much true. Pretty much true.
Damn it.
Damn you, Sparky.
Star Wars, man. You can't fool guys who love Star Wars.
Yeah. But it's not a bad series so far. I've really I've enjoyed it for the most part.
It's watchable. Is it watchable?
Very watchable series.
The acting's not like god awful where you're like, whoa, what are you doing?
Mean, it can't be bad because I feel like you described it like somebody would describe sex. Like, it was slow here, it was fast in some moments, it got a little weird. And then,
it was good for a minute, and then you paused, and you kind of got yourself out of the rhythm, and then you slowly got back into it. A good climax at the end. Job well done.
I think I'm coming back for an episode 2.
You get the clap at the end.
Yes.
But speaking of clapping at the end here, let's cut into our second half of the show. We'll actually skip the stupid coin shortage aluminum can talk.
I could quickly summarize that real quick. People are going to have to start drinking bottled beer and saying, keep the change. Move on.
Boom. There it is. Oh, and China CD passed with their bubonic plague.